Okay, so today we're going to go to the next step. We're going to talk about, review the tools that we're going to use. And we saw them last week. The first, of course, is Remix. And Remix gives you this nice IDE here, and where you can debug, deploy, write, do whatever you need to do to develop. Now, the important thing here is when you go, which is up here, is that you connect to localhost. Now, in order to do that, you need the second tool, which is, let's find it here, which is RemixD, which we looked at. We're basically setting RemixD to talk to the Remix IDE. That allows you to store your code in a directory. You set up a shared directory. So now you know it's on your hard drive and it's not going anywhere. The other tool, of course, is Ganache, because it sets you up with a really nice test blockchain that you can do all kinds of stuff with. Like, I just created a contract, and you can see all the data from the contract server address and the data. Now, if you look at this number here, what should be is, if you go up here, see if I can, does it look like, let's see what this looks like. No, you got it. So this is your artifacts, and but I think it has to translate it, of course, into the bytes that it sends to the contract. Sender address, the created contract address, the transaction data. So you can see all kinds of stuff, as we've looked at Ganache before. And finally, I import. Now, one important thing with Ganache, because everything is playing on 8545, you need to go in here, go on the server, and change this port to 8545. Now, finally, you got Metamask, and again, we connect to 8545. We can import the accounts from Ganache. Let me show you. If you go to accounts, again, these are test accounts, so we don't care. It has all the private key for that account. The other thing you can do is, when you start Metamask, you can give it this mnemonic and it'll restore all these accounts. So there you have it. We have a place we can do our code. We have a place where we can run it, debug it, and do what we need to do. Now, one other thing, of course, let me see if I can get familiar with GitHub, create an account. This will allow you to store your code safely, store versions, so you can push it, and if you mess it up, you can get it back. And you don't have to worry about losing your code, because you can always save your latest version. And of course, if you're working with others, it can get very interesting. You know, you can, this is a professional tool for code management. So this particular code management tool, if there is a conflict, if you have another person working on something and there's a conflict in the changes that you made, you have to work it out. This is not like some of the older tools where when you got a file, it was locked, no one else can touch it until you were done with it. This does not work that way. If you're not familiar with GitHub, it basically, if I check in to a project and someone else goes to check in, if there's no conflicts, they'll just merge. For example, let's say I add a method and the person I am working with adds a method. I guess this is kind of behind here. Let's see where it is so you can see it better. Here we go. If I am writing add a method to the contract and someone else does, it's just going to combine them. But let's say I change a method and they change a method, then we got to work out the differences in what they call merge. So, but this is an excellent tool for saving your work, and it will allow also, if you're working with other people, it's designed for that as well. So these are the stuff we're going to be using, and hopefully you're excited by it. These are the Ganache and Remix. These are tools under, being developed. They're kind of bleeding edge a little bit, and it allows us to really test it locally. And of course, once you have something tested locally and working locally, then you can turn around and put it on a test network, make sure it runs. Again, I think I'd like to get our thing deployed to multiple types of chains and see what happens. Test chains, of course. But just to see, because that's the beauty of Solidity, is there are a number of chains. It can also work excuse me, with the Polkadot network via Solang. So anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. If it has, please give a like, please subscribe, please tell your friends who are interested, and I will speak to you next time.